Making your own dirt is nothing new, and it's a tradition that farmers and gardeners have done throughout man's history on Earth. My own mother was an avid gardener and composter, and while I totally understand it and even tried it as an adult, I wanted something more, something that eliminated that long process of waiting and something my HOA would allow. And thanks to innovation and living in the time that we do, there are now devices that can help speed this process along. The Lomi is one of those devices, and if you haven't seen my unboxing video, you can find a link in the description below. After purchasing with my own money and testing for the last 90 days, this is my review with both pros and cons in my own experience with the Lomi. You're going to also see a lid that does not come with the Lomi originally. Lomi recently released this lid and sent it to me as I was making this video. So I do have some video shots where you can actually look inside the Lomi using this lid. Also, all opinions are my own. Now, let's get into that review. Pros: eco-friendly packaging. It's evident from the packaging that Lomi went the extra mile to make sure that all the materials used were as earth-friendly as possible. From the cardboard to a compostable plastic bag, I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised at the attention to detail when it came to making sure they were staying true to their mission, even in delivering their product. No more waiting. Gone are the days when you waited for weeks and sometimes months for organic matter to break down. This machine is using heat, cooling, and movement to break down those kitchen scraps in organic matter, not in weeks or days, but in a matter of hours. There are 3 different settings from which you can choose to run the Lomi. Grow takes 24 hours at a lower heat setting, which is more optimal for creating beneficial soil for potted plants. I use this one when I have a lot of organic veggie and fruit peels and waste that I want to use for my potted plants. Eco Express takes 3 to 5 hours depending on what you put in there, and I find that when I'm trying to just break down waste quickly and move on, that this is the one I use more frequently. And last but not least, the Lomi approved setting. This one is for breaking down bioplastics and compostable commercial goods that are Lomi approved. To be honest, I use this one less frequently. When I first received my Lomi, I was really surprised that they said I could indeed break down the plastic bag that they had sent as part of the packing materials. This was something I did, and it definitely worked. Something to keep in mind here is that not all plastic bags are made the same, and Lomi only recommends using Lomi-approved non-food products when using their machine to compost. Lomi has a website with various products and test results that they have done themselves that are now Lomi approved. They are continually adding to this list as they test products, and it's a great way to get started if you want to make sure you are adding products to the Lomi that will not only break down into dirt, but also won't release toxic chemicals that could hurt the environment or plant growth. If you want to know more, I have included a link to the Lomi approved list in the description below. Size. The Lomi measures at 16 inches wide by 13 inches deep and 12 inches high. So while it's a little bulky, it is short enough to fit under almost any kitchen cabinet. If you've ever kept a bucket on your counter to collect scraps to eventually take out to the compost pile, this is probably about the size of 2 or maybe 2.5 of those buckets, depending on what size you used. Yes, I'm a tech gal, and I love being able to improve my kitchen with smart technology, but I also don't like taking up extra counter space. In my kitchen, I actually placed it on the floor under my counter because I don't have much counter space, but because it's not huge, it works for me to do that. The bucket inside the Lomi is just over half a gallon, and there is a very definitive line around the top that is given as your fill line for your scraps. After 3 months of using this, I am still amazed every time I open the bucket after a cycle finishes to find that I have only an inch or 2 of dirt in the bottom. It's not magic, but it sure feels like that sometimes. I have found that the consistency of the dirt can vary based on the variation of my organic matter that I added to the bucket. I've also found that using the compost accelerator pods that come with the Lomi is a nice touch, but not always necessary. Sound. When running this, you will get a sound. The sound is not consistent, and I think it depends on what and when the arm is working inside. But rather than just telling you, let me show you. So right now, it is drying and mixing. And that is the loudest it gets. Design and look. The sleek curves on what could have been a boxy bucket really make the Lomi look great for a machine that is sitting on your countertop making dirt. The white color does look good, and I have found that it is pretty easy to wipe away charcoal and dirt. However, I wouldn't mind seeing a stainless steel or even a black option in the future. Electricity. If you don't turn the Lomi off when a cycle ends, the machine will automatically turn off on its own after 30 minutes. This is not only a great power saver, but also a great safety feature as well. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to bed well before the Lomi finishes its cycle, and it does help to know that it will turn off on its own, even while I am sleeping. Cons. Refills needed. Yet again, another subscription service found its way to my door. I totally get it. This is the way forward with this particular business model, and it makes sense from the business perspective. But this is also a con for the consumer. Lomi recommends replacing the charcoal every 3 months, so you will need to refill the activated charcoal, and you can get a subscription with Lomi that will help you save, which is what I did. And so far I've noticed the bags give me plenty of extra. But again, the subscription could be listed as a con. The lid. This might just be a me thing, but for some reason I struggle from time to time to hit just the right point when putting the lid on the Lomi. With practice, I have noticed that I'm getting better at it. But you would have had a good laugh if you were sitting in my kitchen during the first couple weeks of me using this, as you watched me try to do something as simple as attaching the lid. Price. You knew I had to go there. If you don't catch a sale, $500 is pretty steep. Honestly, I feel like this would be better priced at about $200 less, but that's just me. Yes, you are getting your garden dirt in a fraction of the time it would normally take with a compost pile and helping to cut down on your trash impact at the same time. But the price is a con in my book, and while I didn't purchase mine on sale, they do seem to offer sales from time to time, and this would be my recommendation. Tips. As I mentioned earlier, this machine can easily fit on the kitchen counter and slide underneath cabinets. However, because this machine does put out a fair amount of steam during its process, you will want to make sure that it is not under your cabinets while working. You wouldn't want the steam slowly over time warping your wood cabinets. Final thoughts. Overall, I'm really pleased with the changes Lomi has brought to my kitchen, and I'm so glad I'm not throwing away perfectly good scraps anymore. I'm still looking for other ways to recycle more than I already do, but the Lomi was a great start. And that's something the HOA can't control. I'm constantly adding to the dirt in my pots on my patio and subtracting from my family's garbage output, which is a huge bonus in my book. I do plan to do an update on how everything holds up in the future, so stay tuned. If you are looking to purchase a Lomi, you can use the link in the description below. You will also be helping to support this channel and future videos, so thanks in advance. If this video has helped you in any way, I would love to hear from you. And if you're interested in future reviews like this one, please subscribe below. I really appreciate it. Until next time, I'm Essi Flynn.